Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This, as you know, is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. Always have a lot of stuff to get into. This week is no exception. We're going to get into Pitt and Christian Veillere, the win last night. We'll also talk about the upcoming big game between Penn State and Ohio State. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, the Steelers at the bye week, and they lost their position of being in first place. Here to debate that and what they're going to do in the next 3 games is your panel tonight. We have Andrew Fillipponi, 93.7 The Fan, to the left. In the middle, making his Showdown debut, it's Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette, who's the beat writer, does a great job with the Steelers, and Colin Dunlap. You can hear him at night at 93.7 The Fan. So I'm going to start right into this with the hot topic of the week. Colin, we'll start with you, and that is fire Matt Canada, chants are everywhere. #1, I think it's gotten too far along. I think it's time to stop that, quite frankly, because it serves no purpose to me other than making it tough on his family, which I don't think is necessary. Is it right to look at him as the scapegoat, or do you think there are problems that go beyond Matt Canada?
Oh, well, there are problems that go beyond Matt Canada. That's for certain. It's a collective effort. There's problems with Art Rooney allowing him to come back, with Mike Tomlin identifying him as a good offensive mind from the beginning and bringing him in here, and Matt Canada getting no better. But to the chance, I wholly disagree with you. They're not going to cause any change, right? But if you pay the freight and you are a ticket holder and you're not breaking any rules and you're not swearing and you're not fighting and you're not, being physical with anyone, I am fully on board with you being able to do whatever you'd like to do. And honestly, I wouldn't do it.
Even at hockey games?
Even at hockey games.
Even in the Byham Theater,
look,
if you're
we
watching
are so far
play.
detached, I think the media is so many times from the common fan, where we sit in the press box, we park for free, we get in for free, we eat free food and all that stuff. And if people want to voice their opinion, I am fully on board with them being able to do it.
I have no problem either. I'm just saying all over, no matter what the venue here, Ray. You've covered sports for a long time. What do you think?
I mean, listen, Bob, I said this when they decided to bring him back in January. We knew what Matt Canada was in 2021, okay? The excuse then was it was Ben Roethlisberger's final year, okay? So then 2022, what's the excuse? It's Kenny Pickett. He's a rookie. What's the excuse now? That's the way I look at it. And I think, why don't you direct the criticism at Mike Tomlin, #1, and or ownership, #2? You can boo Matt Canada, that's fine, but I think Mike Tomlin deserves criticism for bringing him back too.
Bonnie?
Well, fire Matt Canada, it worked with the GM of the hockey team. So there's that too. That whole, right? I mean, fans did it at a game.
But I never heard it at any other place other than PPG Paints Arena. I didn't hear it all over the place. I hear this the other day in Giant Eagle, I heard people saying it. I mean,
Good.
Yeah,
Did they say it at Mass this morning too? I wish I were there.
Maybe so.
That was the hymnal today. Fire Canada.
It's getting old for me to listen to it. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what's getting old?
Is he the main problem?
It's getting old watching him
That's
coach.
exactly. It's old watching him. They do not have a 400-yard game. They do not have a 30-point game that they've won with him as the offensive coordinator. He is the worst offensive coordinator in Steelers' modern era history. If you go by the numbers, relative to what we're talking about, look at the players he has too. They've used first-round picks on quarterbacks, running backs, second-round picks on wide receivers, a left tackle that they traded up for, guards that they invested in, and they've got 5 touchdowns in 5 games.
Oh, it's unacceptable.
They don't have a rushing touchdown.
But why aren't you saying fire Mike Tomlin?
I do say fire Mike Tomlin, okay?
The fans don't.
Well, because the fans know
he's an easy target.
The fans also know that Tomlin's untouchable, that he's not going anywhere, that he's like a pope or a Supreme Court justice. He's the Steelers head coach. He stays here until he retires, right? But offensive coordinators come and go. A team in your own division fired an offensive coordinator.
But he's the one hiring all of them.
Yes, he does deserve criticism. He absolutely does.
Here's the other part, too, with Art II.
They all do.
It's not going to force change, but there's no way by this point in 2 big venues in the city, 2 big sports venues, and then on those steps in D.C., there's
they
no
did it
way.
there, too?
They did it, yes.
Oh, good.
There is no way by this point that Art II doesn't know it's happening. He knows it's happening. He's not going to be embarrassed into making a move, but he absolutely has heard it to this point.
All right,
fans have gotten their message across.
Is he the biggest problem?
Bob, I think there are a lot of issues. I think Kenny Pickett did not play well up until the Ravens game. Even, you could say, the final quarter of the Ravens game, he did not play well. Still issues with that offensive line. So there might be personnel issues that Omar Khan and Andy White will have to address for years. I mean, you have to remember, this is their first year. A lot of people were patting him on the back. Good job. I thought he did a good job. But you might have to have some rebuilding with the personnel as well. So I'm all here for the Matt Canada criticism. I think it's warranted, but there are still a lot of issues with this one.
Tony, I want to ask you about what they do at the bye week. Last year, we saw them go 7-2 afterwards. They got physical. They ran the ball more. Do you expect that to try to cure their problems? Because they did go from 32% third down conversion to 54%.
Yeah, I mean, they were the 7th rated offense in the NFL in the second half of the season because they ran the ball so well. They didn't turn the ball over. No, I don't expect big changes. To me, and Ray was there, they sounded to me like a team that said, hey, we're in first place. We're better. We beat the Ravens and Browns. We're 2-0 in the division. We might tinker. We might do little things, but any radical change, I don't anticipate that in LA on Sunday. Absolutely not. They're not. They were desperate last year.
I agree.
They were 2-6. They were headed towards the worst season in Mike Tomlin's tenure. They don't feel that way now. I think they feel like the formula they have is going to work.
As long as the defense keeps picking off balls and doing things like that, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect that every single week.
Is it sustainable when you have the 30th ranked offense and the 30th ranked defense? I understand they get after it with the pass rush. They've been taking the ball away, but I don't know if you can count on them taking the ball away if the run defense
You're right.
isn't that good.
If Baltimore doesn't drop 1 million passes and Cleveland's running back doesn't blow out his leg, this might be a team with 2 fewer wins. Let's just call it what it is. And I don't think until they're a 9-8 team or an 8-9 team, until they deserve no benefit of the doubt right now. Until they show you otherwise, they're a 9-8 team. That's the way I look at it.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the next 3 games coming up because they are important. It begins with a trip to the Rams and then 2 home games. What will the Steelers be after those next 3? We'll get into that and more on what was a bad day for the Steelers bye week because everyone in their division won. We'll continue the conversation right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.